Happy holidays, guys. Every time you take the field, you want to come out with a better outcome than we did. Of course, we're really disappointed, upset, frustrated, whatever emotion you want to connect to it of, not meeting our own expectations, not only not meeting the expectations and, of our fan base and, the city. Is really, really difficult when you don't do that and you have such high goals for each and everything that you do. But that being said, we got a chance to end the season with a victory against a really good football team that would mean a lot to us. And that's where our focus is. That's where my focus is right now. And then collectively, I know, my guys, just starting this morning and even a couple of days ago, they're rearing to get back on the field and play the game. So that's exactly what we'll do.
How much does that disappointing feeling feel you specifically?
I feel it, but that's a part of competing. There is going to be a scoreboard, and that scoreboard is it really does calculate the way you play. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. So it fills with frustration, especially when you feel personally that you've given a whole lot in everything that you have in all these situations, and you keep going, but who cares, right? You just, there's a detail that has to be done, and at the end of the day, the detail is more points than the other team. Unfortunately, this year, it didn't happen enough.
Do you feel like it was a switch after the bye week? It seemed like that's when things kind of switched a little bit. What do you feel like changed with this team after the bye week?
I don't know. I haven't had enough time to even look at that, been so focused in on what we're doing now. Times for that will come and we'll be able to see. It could have happened anywhere. It could have, not happened. It may be a play here, a play there. I don't know the answer to that. Of course, that research will be done, and those answers is what we have to come to become a better club.
Have been, resilience, I guess, has been a staple of this team for so long, and it hasn't really been there the last couple of weeks. Some of those losses have piled up. What's the explanation for that?
Really not an explanation. At the end of the day, there's several things that we can point to. In this last game, it was very clear. The resiliency was directly connected to taking care of the football. That was one of the things that we had done a better job at this year. If you look back up until that time, we just didn't do a good job of taking care of the football, not only in critical moments, but in moments where we had a little bit of momentum swing that our defense had did a good job, and we had a chance and opportunity to go. And we just didn't take care of the football. So outside of that, and just because it's so recent and so current in my mind, looking at each game before then, there's critical points and times in every game where, did we get this first down in this critical situation, third down situation? Did we get this one in a critical fourth down situation? Did we make a play that may have been a spectacular play, but we've seen it made on the other sideline, or we've seen it made by our guys at a different time? So that's what we've been really, really good at when, we play complementary football, but when an opportunity came, whether it's 3rd and 4, 4th and 1, whether it's 1st and 10 in the beginning of the game, we have a look, we have the exact coverage that we want, and things go exactly the way we want, and we just don't necessarily make the play, or the play was not there to be made. Those are the critical things that we've got to be able to dissect and find out, how do we close that small gap? And it's small, and that's what this game is. The teams that make those small catches, you've seen some this past couple of deals, or the small step in the interior or small step on the exterior is the difference in winning and losing. And that's what we got to make sure we take care of.
You don't think it was like, guys getting too, fat and happy, for lack of a better term, like being too comfortable with thinking they were good and not?
Well, I can't speak to them, man. I don't eat but one time a day. So it's not a joke. It's really, you stay hungry. In this business, if you're not hungry, somebody else is hungry, and it shows up. So I can't answer that question. What I do know is that this week, our focus is where it needs to be. We need to play with edge. We've got to dominate in what we talked about in the line of scrimmage. We've got to do things better than we've done in certain areas of the field on both offense and defense. So that's what we got to do. But as far as being fat and happy, I don't know that to be the case. But I also will say that, kind of moving forward, that has no place. I haven't seen it. Don't know it to be true, but I don't think we have those type of guys.
Progress for any organization isn't always linear. So in your experience, how do you squeeze the most out of the opportunity you have in front of you, whether as a player, as a coach? How do you maximize what the next week is before the winter breakup?
I have never taken the field in a game when it was meaningless or not meaningful. Never. I have such a respect for every person that has been or played at Soldier Field. Every person that I look at, any question that any of our guys have. All you got to do is turn. If I turn and look to my right, I see Dan Campbell. I look to my left, I see St. Brown. I look to my front, I see David Montgomery. That's all I need. Put me in as far as I'm concerned, because that is what this game is about. It's about respect, and that's what we're fighting for this week. We got to go out and play for respect, and I got a hell of amount of respect for the coaches on the other side. I got a hell of amount of respect for this club. I got a hell of amount of respect for this game, and if you don't have that, you have no business even walking out there, and that's just as simple as it comes.
Drops are subjective at some level, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody tracks them kind of differently. There is no official stat for. I'm sure you guys track them.
Yep.
I don't know where you kind of land with St. Brown, but I think the eye test shows that maybe his hands weren't as good as they've been previous years. Mm-hmm. Is there anything to that, Scottie? Is there a theme? Was he battling with something? I know he was like on an injury report briefly with the wrist early in the season. It just didn't seem like it was to his standard this season.
Yeah, I would agree. He would agree as well. We don't like putting any balls on the ground. The researchers went into it. Here's the thing about St. Brown. And he does this probably better than anybody else in this league. So we got to correct when it's happening in the game. He's catching 202 balls a day away from it. He is, I really kind of isolated some of those plays to where they were below the waistline, thumbs up, pinkies together, and running through the football. So we got to continue to work, coaching-wise, we can work more drills there. Did we? Yes, of course we did. And he is to the standard. We're away from what we're doing of catching the ball. When you have guys that are not catching enough balls, not catching tennis balls, not juggling softballs, doing all these hand-eye coordinations, you really want to get to the bottom of what that is. That's what we'll have to do in this offseason. And I'm sure he'll attack it just the way that we want him to attack it. But more so, it's not a lack of what he did. So we've got to really close that window. If it was a situation where we went from catching 200 balls a day to maybe 50 balls a day and not seeing it as well, or not just getting high balls, low balls, balls behind, and doing all the things that go into distraction catches, all the things that we do to try to make sure this doesn't happen, is what we do to prevent these things from happening, I should say. And it worked for everybody else. Everybody else kind of took off and caught the ball at a higher level. So that's what makes me, I got to really find out what it is and pinpoint exactly what it was, because, he knows he's not here to make almost every play. He's here to make every play. That's what our expectation is of him. That's what his expectation is. I think some other guys have stepped up in those roles and made a lot of big plays, and I know that he's poised to do the same.
Tesla talked about wanting to get a little more twitchy this offseason,
Yeah.
More separate. What would your sort of, checklist be for him to work on this offseason to come back? And more?
First thing we've already talked about, we're working on that constantly during the season too, without beating his feet up too much. Short area quickness, the quick ability to separate at the top. Long speed and short speed, this league is the difference between getting open and not. Long speed, deep balls, those are lower percentage throws and catches just because of the level of difficulty that goes into it. But when you start getting into the choice world, the in breakers, the out breakers, it really comes to being able to, being able to separate in 3 steps, plant, gather, turn, and do that with quickness that will match the defensive back steps and his J step and kick out. So that's one of the things that we want to talk about and just speeding that up a little bit. But also he has grown so much in this season. So I got to give him a lot of credit on pad level, on ability to use his hands, shed, pushing back vertical, separating, all of the things that, I thought would be a little bit harder for him to come to him. It's coming pretty easily. Now we got to really do a good job of working on that short area quickness. He's seeing the ball at a high level. Going to get the ball has never been really a problem for him. Right now, what I'm liking about him, though, is he's getting the ability to reach out and get the ball. He's creating more of a catch radius, not just this way, but out in front of him. So if people are closing on him because the separation hadn't been quite as great as he wanted it to be, that's his next level of separation, being able to go out and get the football. So really excited about where he is, and just know that the more he separates in those quick areas like that, he'll be in a really good spot.
From your perspective, how challenging was this season? I mean, for Jared, because of at times you didn't have the running game to be able to set up the play action, and then also some of the pressure that he got disrupting the timing of everything, since this is such a precision-based offense.
Yeah, I said it early in the year, it's completely linked. Everything that we do is linked, and it does start with our ability to control the line of scrimmage and the run game and the pieces, not only that link of that, but the link of guys playing next to each other and becoming one and just being able to play together. So a lot of that does happen. And then, just the separation on the second and third level that we were getting, a little bit more linebacker play down low gives him a little bit more time and to maybe loft balls. He's had to really drill some balls in there, made some great plays on throwing the ball in. And he's still thrown and completed a lot of passes for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns with few interceptions in comparison to the rest of the league. So as much as I might think it looked difficult and been difficult, he's been able to make a way when a lot of guys would have been loved to be in his situation. So we'll continue to work that, no doubt. It does have to be linked. Run game, protection, routes. And he's been really good at just coming in every single day and trying to figure out the way to get past some of those hard times.
One more on
the last one.
Isaac, Scottie, I asked you a few weeks ago just about the value of practice reps, and you said, well, no, it matters that you carry practice into games. It's two pretty better performances for him in terms of usage and production. I don't know how much you believe in the concepts of momentum, but how much of this can be a launch pad for him to get these opportunities to carry into year two?
I thought his momentum happened really like week 4, week 5, week 6. It's just behind closed doors. You can just start to see the transition in the player. It's very difficult to do what he did because he's playing so many roles. It just doesn't look like he's playing a lot of roles because they're so formation based. And, a guy goes out of the game, he comes in. So you really can't get a good grasp of the complete route tree. Like you play in Saint, he knows his route tree. He knows exactly what he's going to do. So there's 3 or 4 looks that may jump up on him in the game. It doesn't bother him. Whereas that when you do know what you're doing and you get 3 or 4 different looks, but you just haven't experienced them, it slows you down maybe a step. In practice, week 5, week 6, some of those looks started to show up and he was making the correct read on almost all of them, especially when we got down to the red zone. His production went up. Just amount of plays went up probably 4 to 5 weeks ago, started to get him more plays and just, a little bit more prepared in all those situations. But really in the red zone, week 4, 5, and 6, we started to see a guy understand how to work the back end line, how to work off of Mike backers, wheel backers, position himself when he knows the safety is coming down to hit him. So I do think he has built some momentum, but I do think that momentum started before everybody else saw it. And we're just really happy that he is on the trajectory that he is right now.
Tyler, we hear all the time, nobody cares about your problems, nobody cares about your excuses, but you've had some pretty nasty attrition in your room through the course of the season. I think at one point John said, might be on your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th tight end. Just what are the challenges of maintaining a standard when you're cycling in, guys that weren't here with you through the duration of the offseason?
Yeah, I've always prided myself in the position group. If someone goes down, it's the next man up mentality. And regardless of who it is, where they're from, when they were drafted, undrafted, how many years in the league, if you have an opportunity to go play on Sunday, make the most of it. That's the way it's been. Yeah, there's been injury, there's been adversity, but that also brings new opportunity for another player. And I know they've embraced it, and you know what? They're playing hard, they're finishing, and I appreciate the intent that they're playing with.
We think of the tight end as being one of the more complex positions on the field, right? You got to know pass game and run blocking and all the different alignments. When a guy steps in here, vet or not, how do you piecemeal an understanding of the scheme to get them ready in 1, 2, 3 weeks? Yeah,
that's a challenge. And that's probably why you see the guys that were brought in, okay, Ferkser, right? He's been here. He has an understanding of the vocabulary, the system. And then we had time with Dwelly to understand it and learn it when he played. And then Zylstra coming off injury, who worked tirelessly to get back. Horton played against Green Bay, but you really need to understand the player, okay? What's their foundation of understanding of football? What's their IQ? How can I clearly teach this step by step, lay a foundation down to where they understand, to where they can go cut it loose and play fast? So, I mean, that's a whole process in itself. my goal is always for the player to go out there and play football, not think football. And thankfully, within the system, we have the ability to teach it to them clearly. And so they understand ID points, protections, route adjustment. So I feel like with the guys that have played football and have an understanding, guys that have been here and have an understanding of the system, their transition has been pretty smooth.
We've seen the announcement from Iowa State that you'll be joining them next year. Just what drew you to that opportunity?
Yeah, I've loved my time here. Thankful to Coach Campbell, the entire organization for bringing me in, accepting me, welcoming me, helping me grow in the profession. And then, college football, the profession, the job search can be pretty crazy in the months of, November, December. And when all that was going down, you start fielding some phone calls. But my main focus has always been here, That's why I've stayed here. I'm not one to come and, hey, you got a little adversity in the tight end room. Hey, maybe you're not winning as many to leave and go to another. No, that ain't me. Job's not finished here. We still have one more. And thankful to Coach Campbell and through our conversations, the intent was always to stay through the duration of the season, however long that goes. But, you take some phone calls and things start to happen a little bit faster and have great, constructive conversations with people you love and trust. And this is one that was very special to me. I want to call plays. That's my goal. I did it for a long time at North Dakota State. And this one with Coach Jimmy Rogers in Ames, Iowa, a place that I'm familiar with, a place that my family loved, we admired. And when everything started kind of coming full circle, everything started aligning, and just trusted my gut, talked with my family, my wife, my kids. Not a lot of people see the background of these moves and whatnot, and it meant a lot to me for their support and their desire to be back in Ames, and we're fired up. But the task at hand is to go win on Sunday.
With the had you not come here first and just gone straight there and taken on that position from your last job, what do you think you gained from this experience this year that'll help you, maybe not just next year, but going forward as a coach in your career?
Yeah, man, I've learned a lot. My growth as a coach, as a teacher, understanding really a pro system, I've learned so much, and the things that I'll be able to take, I've really had a system that we ran at North Dakota State. Pro style, under center, multiple with shift trade motion, run the ball, passing efficiency. Now there's a whole different element that I'm able to add to, really the playbook, and things that, will just even allow us to be more multiple, Okay, and then learning from, Coach Campbell in tight end play, learning from one of the best O-line coaches, if not the best O-line coach I've been around and had a chance to work with, in Hank Fraley, and learning how he teaches things at the line of scrimmage, and learning from all the other coaches. It's been unbelievable and extremely impactful to me for this year. There's been a lot of growth.
Why was it so important to finish the job? And I guess where does that come from for you?
Yeah, I'm not a quitter. I always say you quit once, you quit forever. And I wanted to see it through. Dan wanted to keep me here for the year, and we're definitely in alignment on that. And that's not what I'm about, and I wanted to see it through.
I know he was new to the role, and you guys grew a lot working together. Do you feel like Seth is ready for the opportunity if that's presented to him?
Yeah, Seth is an extremely bright young coach. And I think I talked about this earlier, his knowledge and understanding of the pass game is exponential. Okay, now his growth in the run game, where he was able to come and, whether it be ask questions of technique, if I see it this way, this scheme versus this front, what would we do maybe versus this front or this pressure? No, he's grown a lot even the short time that I've been able to be around him, and I'm excited for his future because it's very bright.